We are going to solve a differential equation that has both x's and y's in it. So in order to integrate it, we need to move all of the y stuff over to this side. Okay, so you can multiply it or you can divide it. But if you have like minus y at the end of this, you can't just add y and say it's on this side. But you can multiply it over here and you can divide it over here. So I'm going to rewrite e to the x minus y as e to the x over e to the y, right? That's the same thing?
Can you explain that? How do powers work? I
Do you
don't
want me to
remember.
explain it?
Can you
Okay,
explain
so
that?
it's like x to the, so I could write this as e to the x times e to the negative y. That's the same thing.
And you just combine the powers.
And then you could make that positive by putting it on the bottom.
Okay.
Is that sufficient?
Yes.
Okay.
Algebra 1 was hard.
Alright, so we can move that y stuff over here by multiplying both sides by e to the y. So I now have e to the y dy dx equals e to the x. Just moved it over here. So now we can, once the y stuff is over here, we have to integrate with respect to x. We're going to integrate dx, integrate dx. You notice that the dx's cross off, so we have the integral of e to the y, dy equals the integral of e to the x, dx. So now we can individually evaluate them.
You get e to the y equals e to the...
E to the y plus c
Oh.
equals e to the x plus c.
Are those different c's?
Yes, so I'll call that c1, c2. Good question. So now,
What's the point of this problem? What is our goal?
To integrate.
so if you're asked to solve it, that means your answer will be y equals something.
Okay.
We're solving for a y.
Because it gives like prime.
Okay, so we're getting y by itself, so I'll subtract c1. What's c2 minus c1?
C0.
2 minus 1.
Or I'll just call it c. Okay, a constant
Whoa.
minus a constant is a constant. So you do not need to do a c for each side, because eventually they'll combine to be a c anyway. So just add a c to the right side. So then we're trying to get y equals, so you do natural log of each side, so y equals the natural log of e to the x plus c.
Naturally.
Is that an absolute value here?
No.
We're kind of used to doing absolute values with natural logs, right? But this is not an example of that. Yeah, because it's not the antiderivative 1 over. Okay, so a lot of times that's called separation of variables. You move the y stuff over to one side. A lot of times you'll be solving it with an initial value. So it might say, and y of 0 equals
Plus
3
c.
or something. And you're supposed to solve this.
You just plug in.
Okay, so we can't just subtract a y and then divide by a y. What could I do to start with here?
Plug in 0.
Pull out a y?
Yeah, good. So factor out a y, x plus 1 equals 2y dx. Divide by y, so now it's 1 over y, dy dx equals x plus 1. So now we're ready to integrate dx, so we're going to have integral of d 1 over y dy equals integral of x plus 1 dx. So that's natural log absolute value of y equals 1/2 x squared plus x plus c.
Why
Okay.
is that for the absolute value?
That's the definition of the antiderivative 1 over y. That's how it absolute value. Okay, so after you have integrated, that is the time to plug in our 0 and 3 to find c. That's what I would recommend. You can start solving for y, but it gets a little messy with the c. So I would suggest that immediately after integration, you plug in 0 for x and 3 for y. C is the natural log of 3.
Ta-da.
Alright, so now we need to
Oh.
solve for y.
We're talking.
So y equals plus or minus, that's the plus or minus because the absolute value.
We
E to
take
the,
off a half a point if we do that on the, if we don't put that plus and minus on quiz.
well, there, we don't know whether it is plus or minus.
If we forgot that, would you take off half a point on quiz?
Well, you might luck out and choose the right one, but that's something you should get used to, yes, plus or minus. So we're trying to figure out,
So wait, what's the answer to my question? Just do it. Okay.
you guys could lose points.
Okay.
Alright, so let's see if we can. This is e to the 1/2 x squared times e to the x times e to the natural log of 3, right?
E to the natural log of 3 is 3.
E to the natural log of 3 is 3, very good. So y equals, I'm going to move that to the front, plus or minus 3 e to the 1/2 x squared plus x. So now we have to pick which of these plus or minus will make that true, 0, 3. So if you plug in 0 for x,
1.
does 0, 3 work, whether it's positive or negative? Which one only works?
Positive.
Positive. So if I get 3 equals positive 3 e to the 0, that's the one that works. So it should be positive 3 e to the 1/2 x squared plus x would be our answer. Okay,
What was that called?
that's called solving by separation of variables. So you should try whatever one you asked me, 33 or something like that.